So housekeeping stuff for, wait, what? Whole tree. Yeah, just, bring a whole tree. We don't need a branch. Whole tree. That's funny. Um, All right, I want this so I can see. Okay. Housekeeping stuff for today. Tomorrow we might, Hardcore is presenting his final project for his degree, which is very exciting. So if it's during class time, we'll probably go and watch him present, because then you can watch him present an express project and we get to support him. So if it's during our class, we're going to do that, just so you guys know. He's going to message me this afternoon and let me know what's up. He will also be a lot more available for helping, grading, being part of lecture and all that afterwards to wrap up the class. So he'll be helping for that. What else? Thursday, no events. Friday, again, remember class is going to be 12 to 3, not 1 to 4. Mark your homework is done. Please show up on time. Please check in. All the usual. Please do your meetings with Chase. Please think about, again, like spend some time thinking about what you want to do next. Because we're in week 8, so it's going to be over before you know it. Guarantee.
And I have no idea.
That's okay. Just, spend a little bit of time thinking about it. Oh, also Monday, I will probably not be available most of the morning. The cat got her final round of vaccines today, and she is no longer sick. So we're going to take her in, get her fixed, get her teeth cleaned, and get her chipped. And then she's done for a while. So Monday morning, I will probably not be online, like, at all. Just so y'all know what is up.
Oh, good.
I'm probably Monday. I'm also going to give you pushing some of my projects. Push projects, add stuff to your GitHub. Literally, even just like going through demos of stuff is like a really wonderful way to bulk up your GitHub and your skills too. My morning memes and the video early. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Just so you guys know what's up with that. She's just sleeping now because she got her vaccines. She's very cute. She climbed on top of me when the vets gave her shots. It's very sweet. It's like a baby.
Oh.
Like, no, I don't want to. She's very cute. Let's see. What else? Think about what you want to do after this class. Do your interviews with Chase. Mark your homework is done. I did a lot of grading last night, and so I'm more caught up, so you guys should have feedback. If you have turned in work and there is comments from me and I have not graded your homework, like, you need to resolve whatever is in the comment. If it's just something like good job and it's graded, you don't need to respond to it. But like, if you have outstanding work that I have not returned a grade and there were comments on it, it means that I don't want to grade it until you fix those things, because I will just give you a 0 because it does not compile.
Ew.
Yeah, so fix it.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that, we will talk more. I think Monday will be the day where we do all your stuff for your group project. So just be aware that coming up Monday is when we're going to try to do all the group project. I highly 10 out of 10, read up text, underlined, highlighted, highly recommend catching up on all of your work over the weekend, so that way on Monday you do not have any outstanding work, so you can focus on the group project. I think I'm going to have you guys do it all together because it's a pretty big project, and I think you guys will all work pretty well together. So that's what is up. I'm probably going to assign your roles for you. I try to be very, very hands-off with this project because I want you guys to experience what it's like for like real-world development. It's going to be fun. Yeah. In my experience, it's either a success and people learn a lot and like it's stressful, but like it's a really wonderful experience. It's a really wonderful thing to put on your resume, or it's a complete dumpster fire. The way to avoid your group project being a dumpster fire, communication. And I think you guys are all pretty good at that, so I'm not overly stressing about y'all. So that's what we'll do Monday. Yeah, that's what's up. We gotta go through a bit this week, but it'd be aight. It's just fun stuff. Okay.
So, in one of my homeworks, you said NPM init. So I just go in there and put NPM init in it.
Yeah, in the terminal part. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that. Okay.
It might not have gotten pushed. If you did it and it didn't get pushed, that might be it.
Oh. That might be it.
All right. So, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to wrap up. Oh, yeah. So, Christina and Zizi have both pointed this out to me, and I didn't write it down. When you are doing the node project, I think week 7, 3, and 4, the EJS module might not install when you install the Express module. So if you're pretty sure all your code is right and it's still throwing like can't find module errors, run npm install EJS. Apparently it's not part of the Express module. So if you're having issues, that might resolve it. Yeah, npm install EJS. Lots of love going on. I enjoy it. Okay. Yeah, I totally think you guys are going to do great. I'm not worried about y'all at all. The only thing I'm worried about y'all guys doing is like going way overboard in one detail and then like, skipping something. That's the only thing I'm worried about with y'all.
Not if we divvy it up. You do this part, you do this part, you do this part.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about y'all. Someone that's not me, keep a checklist. That's funny. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to be the person who will divvy up all your roles, and then you will have a project manager, which is one of y'all, to, yes, set up a Trello board. Yes. We'll talk about it more. But one of y'all is going to be a project manager. I think I'm going to do 3 front-end devs, 3 back-end devs, a project manager, and 2 QAs. So that's what I'm going to break up your project as. We'll talk more about it on Monday, though. But I'm going to assign your roles unless you guys like absolutely hate them, have a prison revolt and you're just like,
yeah,
no.
But I mean, when you're in a job, you can't choose your role either. Your boss said you won't do that. You gonna do that?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to pick stuff that I think you guys will succeed at and will like help you do well. So that's the goal. Everyone will contribute code. Everyone will. Your grade will all be together, but like obviously I'm not going to be one of those teachers that's like, oh, well, I did this entire project by myself and everybody else gets the same grade. I'm just not like that. I don't think that's fair. It is a group grade and your group stuff will matter. Probably your project manager will be in charge of that. And yeah, and because hardcore is going to be a lot more available, he will help you with all of this stuff too. So you have someone to ask technical questions with and all that. But we'll talk in depth about it on Monday once I've made all my final choices for everything. But just so you're aware, that's what's coming up. I'm going to stop sitting like a gremlin. I'm going to break my ankle. Okay. So, no, that's your own solo project. All right. So, that is all the housekeeping stuff that I got for y'all.
You do the quiz on Friday, right?
Yeah, we have a quiz on Friday.
Okay, just make sure that everybody knows.
Yes, you have a group project and a solo project. This week you'll do a little solo project that's just you make a tiny game. It'll be challenging, but not over the top and you got plenty of time, like it's Wednesday and I think it's technically due Monday, like your not late date is Monday. No. We're going to assign it today and it's technically not, its technical due date is midnight Friday. But that means that, like, you know, you got the extra week. You have time to be extra about it. Yeah. You got plenty of time for both projects. So you got a solo project and a group project, just so we can really start to bulk up your resume.
You said they're both due midnight this Friday?
Not both projects.
Just the solo.
Just your solo project.
The solo one. Okay.
You'll have 2 weeks for your group project. You got plenty of time. And you don't have any other homework during your group project.
So this is like, ooh, yay, no more homework. That means I can, because I'm redoing everything from chapter 1 to chapter 8.
Yeah, my goal, so here's what's up. So we got design and project management stuff this week.
Mm-hmm.
You got your group project where we're going to learn in-depth server stuff and some computer science concepts. Then we got 1 week of real stuff we're going to do. And that's like actual content and like pretty intense. And then we got the last week of class is just, you know, here's resumes, here's how to tell if a job is sketch or not, and all that stuff. Yes, this 2 weeks, you do not have homework because this is an intense project. So, like, you do not have a group project and additional work. This is what you'll be doing. And it will be everybody together. I thought about breaking you guys up, but I think it's going to be too much work if we do smaller groups. So, one big group project. It is a group grade, but also, like, I'm not going to... If you guys express concerns to me, like, I will keep that in mind when I'm grading your stuff.
Yeah, we're going to rock this.
Yeah, I'm not worried about you, but, you know. So, I ain't concerned, but yeah. So, like, you will still have lecture every day, which will have new content, which you might want to review, and you will have a group project. So, like, maybe you'll have time to catch up on work, but maybe not. You do have a makeup week at the end, too, just so you know. Graduation September 18th. So, we getting there.
Dang, man, time flew by.
Yeah. We'll do a lot of job prep stuff. Is it going to be virtual? Yes, our graduation will be virtual. It will also be part job fair. So I invite all of our tech partners to come. So that includes like the hiring manager for RSI, the hiring manager for TaxSlayer, project owners from Parsons. You will get a certificate which certifies you as a full stack web developer. You also receive a continuing education credit from Augusta Tech, so then you also have a college transcript. If you don't have any other college stuff or your college stuff's really old, it's a new active transcript.
Yeah, my college stuff is from like 2006.
Yeah, so this one's a current one, which is nice. And then like for like people who haven't gone to college, it gives you a college transcript, which is nice. Yeah, like it's easy, like you only have high school. So this gives you a college transcript. So once you complete this class, you will have college stuff. You have attended Augusta Tech, you will receive it. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so it's a continuing ed credit too, which is really nice. And then like if you guys want to apply for a program later, it can be helpful to already have a college transcript to get into another college, especially because like your GPA, it's just a pass or fail class. So like your GPA looks very successful if this is the only thing on that transcript. So it's all nice. You get a bunch of stuff for it. I guess also while we're talking about the end of the class and looking towards the future, do remember you guys are members of the clubhouse for 9 months after class is completed. That means you get access to the 3D printers, laser cutters. You get access to Sarah so she can help you with job placement. You get access to Slack. There is a Slack channel where Sarah posts potential jobs like 3 times a week. So I recommend laser cutter. Yes. Yeah, we got a laser cutter. Yeah, we got a big boy. It's like a 3x5, I think. He's a big boy. Yeah, laser cutters are totally safe. They're fine. I haven't burned down the building with it, and I've used it.
Just don't use it on yourself.
I don't want to accidentally cut something. Yeah, well, okay, so story time. I got on the news for the clubhouse. Are we going to post info you lose? Are you going to lose info posted in Slack? Yes. If there is a resource you want, you need to save it. We are on the free version of Slack. There's only so much space on our Slack space, and then they delete stuff. So if there is a resource you need to save it somewhere else. What did I do to get on the news? Well, they were just talking about the clubhouse and are moving over to the new space, and because we used to be off of Telfair, so they were just like talking about the clubhouse and all the stuff we were doing, and are talking about stuff. And you guys know how I talk, and you guys know I joke a lot. And like the news lady asked me, she was like, "Is the laser cutter safe?" I was like, "Well, it could cut through humans."
And you said that on TV?
On TV. Yep.
Oh Lord. So if anybody shows up, laser cut it.
Yep, it me. Yep. She just started laughing, because like she had the safety goggles on, and like my arm was inside the machine while I was saying it, and so she was like, yes. And like some laser cutters are also really safe. Like if you get like a laser engraver, like when I worked jewelry, the laser engraver we had for the jewelry machine, you could literally stick your hand under it and it wouldn't hurt. The one we have at the clubhouse will hurt. Don't stick your hand in it and don't look directly at the laser. Pro tips. Okay. So you guys are members of the clubhouse for 9 months after you complete this program. What happened? Yeah. Not officially though. What happens if you look? It's just really bright and it can damage your eyes. The same like if you look at the sun for too long. It's just really bright and it can damage your eyes. There's special goggles and stuff that you can wear so you can look at it. But yeah, it is a fun little tool. I like it a lot. So you get access to all of that. You get access to the rest of the space. It is starting to open up a little bit more because Augusta University is having in-person classes. Augusta Tech is having their lab classes in person. You have to wear a mask. But like take advantage of these spaces and resources. Show up to the other events that the clubhouse does. Like, even once you graduate, like, showing up to things like data science and Augusta Dev and all that, like, it's a really great way to network, and it's a really great way to keep engaged in your skills. Because like genuinely, one of the most common interview questions that I think throws off people is, hey, what are you doing to stay informed? And if you're like, oh, I go to 2 monthly meetups every month to, learn what new skills, like that's like a really wonderful way to be involved and to talk about your skills and all that kind of stuff as you do interviews. Also, like if you guys want to present after you guys graduate, that's cool with me too. So I'm always looking for new speakers for stuff. And if you guys like have like something you want to do, like I'm going to support you. So like if you're like, yo, I want to teach a class on digital animation or something, like, let me know. We'll figure it out. Or if you just want to do like a presentation, like I have this cool thing I want to do, let me know and we can make it happen. I think that's it. Any questions about what we're doing to wrap up this class or like ideas about what's next?
Nope.
And we'll talk about your group project more on Monday. And then after your group project, we will talk a lot more about wrapping up this class and like next steps and all that kind of stuff. All right. So let's talk about design languages. So we talked about flat design, skeuomorphism, and brutalism yesterday. So we're going to talk about the rest of these today. The first one that we skipped over is material design. And this is kind of like what Google looks like. This is their design language. Check over here. And it looks kind of real. Stuff has depth to it. Animations, really like clean lines. Like this is, I think what we're kind of used to for like this is what the trend is for 2020 is material. It's like a mix between flat and skeuomorphism. The other thing that's really cool about this is you just like get all of these resources. So it tells you like how to do things and all that. It's cool. And then also I can share this with y'all too. Oh no, here it is. Yeah, you can go to components and like it gives you the code for the components. So you can be like, okay, I want the web components for this. And then bam, you get these nice data tables that are formatted for you. So I really like this design. I think it's clean. I think it's nice. I enjoy the balance between like simple and, you know, still fun. I like material design. I think it's really popular right now overall. I think a lot of services use stuff like this. Like, oops, I got glitter everywhere. Oops, not surprising though. Like, I think this kind of layout is pretty common. We see stuff like this a lot. I think we see stuff like this. But yeah, I think it looks really nice. They do a really good job of like explaining everything, and this is a really common design language. And then it's also really nice because like we just have it. We can just be like, oh, I want, you know, this piece. Bam. I don't know what a snack bar is, but there you go. You can get a snack bar. But yeah, so this is really nice. This is, I think, a very common design library. I think it looks really nice. It's easy to implement. I hope they got chips. Yeah, I don't know what a snack bar is. It looks like it's like the little temporary progress bar thing. Yeah. Listen, that undo email button is like one of my favorites because Fetty likes to help me send emails before I'm ready. It's very helpful to have that. So that's material design. So this kind of Google's flavor. Then we have flat design, which is like Windows, very bright contrast, no depth, no trying to make things look real. That's what their focus is. I do want to talk about this for a second. So Apple for a long time was the like gold standard of what human computer interaction was. Like Apple is the reason we have like mouses. Apple is the reason we get like they were pioneers in the graphic user interface GUI, graphic user interface GUI. Like that's why we have them, is because of Apple. And like, you know, other people in Xerox PARC also, but like they were for a really long time the gold standard of human interface design. I would argue that that looked like, yeah, I feel that. I don't know. I have both booted right now. I mean, you know, Ubuntu doesn't want to work right now, but it's pretty easy to flow from one to the other. So they have all these guidelines open and available. And so like, here's a bunch of things. So that way, like if you're working in this environment, this is human interface guidelines.
Is that in a syllabus?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right here.
Oh.
And this is like Apple's OS X is the latest version of the Mac operating system. Yeah. And so this is a bunch of really thoughtful, in-depth thought about why stuff looks the way that they should look. And then like you can come in here and get buttons and check boxes and like, you know, it says why the things look like they do and where they should go and like what enabled and all this looks like they're really useful tools for like how all these things look. I think you can get code too. But yeah, so they do like all of these things and they've really thought about why this works. And so like reading through this can really help you strengthen your design language and also like, you know, make like if you work in this environment, you work in Flutter, you work making Mac apps, understanding how they work will make you be able to more successfully integrate with it. Exactly, yeah. The materials guide is a little bit more like if you have a component, do this, and then this is like an in-depth explanation of why they do things. So yeah, we got lots of different opinions. And then it also like has like how do you make the little watch apps? Like it doesn't like talk to you about like how to make them, but it like talks about, you know, what's different for building software for a watch versus your phone versus a desktop computer. And I think these are really nice things to think about as you build things out. Because like here they're like people use the watch more to get notifications and interactions more than the actual apps, which is cool. So if you're into this kind of stuff, I highly recommend giving this a read through. I don't think they're super, I think they're written at a pretty approachable level. I don't think they get too artsy or too technical. And I think they're really interesting to read through and think about why they're done these ways. And that's why we also use design libraries is because like, let's just take a look at this one thing. So just the Mac OS stuff. That's a lot of writing, huh? Every single thing has had to have been thought about in depth. And so when we use a design library, we have less choices to make, which saves you so much time. So that's why we use these, because like that's a lot of writing. So, and that means that someone else has already done this work and thought about it and put all the effort into it. Cool. So that's material design and the human interface guidelines. And both of those provide different ways of how you interact with the user. What is this? That's brutalism. This is, I wanted to talk about this very briefly. I didn't talk about it yesterday because I didn't want to confuse you guys. When art people use the term brutalist, they might not mean what we typically mean by brutalist. So there's this like dual side to brutalist, and it's like, can I make the most ugly and brutal and like abrupt website possible? So that is another flavor of brutalism too. These are the websites I like, they ugly. So we get like, you know, some of them are like these very intense art websites, and then some of them are just like, you know, they're just brutal. They're just like, bam, here's it. This is all you need. Don't ask for anything else. I like the Japanese website. I think it looks nice. Yeah. And so like these are, when we also talk about brutalism, is sometimes we get stuff like this. Just so you guys have them. And I think these are really interesting and they really like flex. It's just ugly. That's funny. Cool, but ugly. Yeah. And I think these are really interesting to look at and think about and figure out how they made them, and all that. This is in your syllabus too. I wanted to show you guys one more thing. Yeah, and like that's the point, is like they are doing no? They're doing different choices. So like, oh, I'm already there. Y'all, if I knew how to read. Okay. It's kind of like a counterpoint to over-designed websites. So like this is a website I really like. I can put this in Slack for y'all. It's a graphic design studio. I'm gonna give it a second to all the way load and then I'll show it to y'all because I think this website is phenomenal. So I'm gonna give it a whole second to load because it's kind of slow. It's a big boy. But brutalism is just kind of like a direct response to like software bloat of like, you know, making these really huge things. Yeah, so we can play with the website. So I think that's neat already. But here's what I think is really phenomenal about this. All of their portfolio are draggable images that you can layer on top of each other, which I think is pretty phenomenal. So I love this website. I think this website is wonderful.
Super cool.
Yeah, but this is like the direct opposite of brutalism. This is pretty and fun, but like it's kind of hard to use. This is not in Slack or syllabus, but I will put it in Slack for y'all right now. But yeah, they're a design firm in Paris. I think their website is really cool. I think they do a lot of really cool stuff with their website. I like the work that they do. But like brutalism is kind of just like a response to this of just being like, this too much. And just being like, here's a website, leave me alone. But yeah, so there are many ways to make a website. You want to do the word colors? Each individual letter is in its own div and has an on hover effect. Not super accessible, but very pretty. I dove in and played with it a little bit because I wanted to know how they were doing it. Cool. So brutalism is kind of this like rejection. How do you monetize a site like that? They're a graphic design firm. And so that's what they do, is they make posters and websites, and like that's what they do. And so having a really beautiful interactive site is advertising for their design firm. So that's what they do. The click and drag feature is also really nice. I think that would be a really wonderful little project to do, of just like, here's some click and draggable elements. So it's fun. The site doesn't make the money, it brings the clients. Exactly. Yeah. It's just, you know, like the same thing of like having like a, you know, a swank little office downtown, you know, like it's just a nice thing that they're expected to do as a design firm. Okay. Groovy. So brutalism is kind of a rejection of the frou-frou and the fluffy, but it can feel empty and unhuman. So that is all of our design languages. Obviously, there are more than this, but these are our most common ones, and they also give us a lot to work with. So like, you know, material design gives us components. Flat design gives us these focuses on contrast. The human interface guidelines gives us a lot of really well thought about design choices. So, yeah. What I want to talk about now is some resources, unless you guys got questions about these.
You were saying that flat design gives us like contrast, though. Like, okay.
Yeah. So this is. I don't think we talked about this resource. Hello. Oh. Big blocks. Yeah. I clicked it too many times. Have some pictures. There we go. So this is what the flat design stuff is. Can I get more pictures? Yeah. But yeah, it's just like the really blocky flat. Oh, here we go. Here we go. More pictures. More pictures. Minimalistic design's really popular. All that. And this article is in your syllabus. And it is the Interaction Design Foundation, which I think is a cool resource in general. Yep, and then we got another picture. Yep. Hello. Oh, well. Oh my goodness. Come on. I'm gonna freeze out my whole computer. What do I have running? I guess I have a lot running. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not because my whole thing just froze.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's just like the design language for Microsoft for their stuff. So if you want to use that resource, you can too. Can you put that in Slack also, please? Because I can't get it to open without my whole computer freaking out. Okay. Thank you. So I want to go through real fast and talk about some resources. So we've seen a lot of these already, but I want to like go through and talk about them. The first one is Dribble with 3 Bs. This is typically where I go for design research. So like if I want to build something out, this is where I go. It's kind of like Pinterest, but specifically for designers. And so like you can look for like website design, you can look for logos, you can look for animation and illustration and all that kind of stuff. Which is really nice.
This is just for like inspiration, or do they also like have the code?
This is mostly just inspiration. Sometimes people will put code stuff in here too, but most of this is like designers showing off their work.
Nice. Okay.
But then you can also like get like these cool little animations and all that kind of stuff. But it's a nice community too, so it can be a good way to like see other stuff. And this is Dribble 3 Bs. It is really nice. I have an account. I don't do anything with it, but like I literally will just scroll through it when I'm looking for something to be like, oh, I want to, make, I want to do a payment thing. I can look for payment solutions. And then like, here's a whole bunch of ideas about like how I can do my layouts for payments. Which is really nice. And I think it's also really nice because you can see what the trends are because like, these are all pretty similar looking. Yeah, we're not going for a lot of idea diversity here. So it's really nice to see what the trends are and get ideas. And then you can mock these up in Figma and get some code that way, or you can wireframe them with Adobe XD, which I didn't log into, so I'll do that during the break. And all that. So that's Dribble. I think it's really nice. If you like Pinterest, you'll probably like Dribble a lot. Next one is words with 3 W's. Oh my W. This is website awards, and so they do really, really cool stuff. Chairs.com. Oh. So these are like what is award winning right now. And I think these are really cool. So you can really see what's up and like what is popular right now.
That looks pretty ugly.
Hmm?
I said they look pretty ugly.
Yeah. And so like some of these, I will say like I do really like Headspace's design. I think they're fun. But yeah. I want, let's go to winners. Let's see what's up. Gucci wins a lot of the design awards. They do weird stuff. I like this. I think this one's nice. But yeah, so there's lots of really cool things to look at and like really interesting design things going on. And one of the like honestly like getting, I use one of their videos because I liked it because it was animated. Yeah. And like just like coding, one of the ways you can really improve your design skills is by looking at other people's designs and breaking it apart. It's called critique. All right, I want to see it. Can I see it? Wakawaka.world. I love it. So this is their website. Personal opinion here. That was too much animation for my personal taste. But that's me. That's my opinion. It's pretty. I like it. I don't know how I do anything with it, but it's nice, I guess. Cute, I guess. Okay, let me escape. Let me break free. So yeah, these are a little bit more like design. So maybe not like making like a functional website, but like making beautifully designed things. We got material, just like we talked about up here. You get all those components. This one is a genuine, like, really good resource for any level. I talked about them on Monday a bit. You've actually probably been on this website before. Yeah. You know, it's just design and like, you know, building beautifully designed things does not mean they have to be useless, but you know, sometimes you just want to sell like, I don't know, Gucci belts or whatever. So this is Smashing Magazine. They've been part of the block for freaking ever, like years. They are really wonderful. Highly recommend spending time in here, flipping through articles. They make new stuff all the time. We got stuff a couple days ago to like, you know, today. So highly recommend. Articles, guides, books, events, memberships, jobs, letter, everything. Highly recommend. Really wonderful resource for you. Here we go. How do you handle errors better in Node? Cool. That's useful. Smart interface design patterns. Like, these are really wonderful articles. I highly recommend. Reading it. that's Smashing Magazine. The other thing that I want, you guys use CodePen all the time. You can use CodePen to be design inspiration and to help find other people's stuff. So these picked pens, or as Christina likes to call them, pickled pens, these are people's stuff that like they're making. And so like you can just like look and like this is made with CSS. So like that's super cool.
Like the whole bus?
The whole bus, it's made with CSS.
Oh wow, nice.
And so like people are doing really wonderful work, learning how to make animations with particles, like, you know, like doing all of these fun things. Here's a little bird made with just CSS. That's cute. And so like you can spend time looking at all these. Like I love this. Y'all know that that's my jam right there. It's pink.
Nice.
Yeah, everything's free. Yeah, these are just people making stuff. You know, like when you make stuff on CodePen, like, you know, just that looks pretty close to like what you guys were doing yesterday. It's just people making stuff. Now, I mean, like, I think you shouldn't like just steal things. But like this person made this to share with other people. Oh yeah, all the other sites are free. Yeah, I don't believe in paying for things. You can have a membership for Smashing Magazine, and then you get more stuff from it, but all those articles and stuff are free. And some of the books are paid for, but a lot of things are free. Yeah, Smashing Magazine. Mm-hmm. That was the last site.
Also, I just want to say, if you're looking at other people's things on CodePen, be careful like copy and pasting it, because sometimes they have other things checked off and it won't work unless you check them.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Let me show you what she is talking about. When you go and you do stuff, I'm just opening up a new pen. Everything has settings. So you can click on these settings ones here, and they might have external style sheets, like Bootstrap or something, or they might have some other setting on, and there's settings for all of these things. And so, like, if you copy and paste something and it doesn't work, they might have something else going on in their settings. So, excellent point. Thank you for bringing it up, because I always forget. Yeah. Yep. Excellent point. So those are like these are.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, will we just change our settings to theirs?
Settings. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep. These are all resources that I think are really formal and good resources to add to your like repertoire of like, I'm gonna go spend that stuff up. But like you can also just like follow designers on your regular social media accounts. Like I have a couple Pinterest boards that are just design. So like I have a graphic design board, I have a web design board, I have like I don't know what's on my Pinterest. It's probably a bunch of like makeup and boring stuff, but like because I spend time on Pinterest and I spend time on Instagram, I follow designers so that way my stuff gets filled up with it. So like, you know, there's not a lot of design. There's a lot of ceramics because that's what I've been into recently. But like, go. It's gonna be real slow. But I have a whole thing of like different web dev designs I really like. Oh yeah, for sure. Trying to get something when it's on Pinterest is so hard. And so like here's a whole board I have of like things that I like that I just like if I see them while I'm just scrolling on Pinterest, I save them. And so like this is how I build up my like design repertoire in a way that's not very, you know, it doesn't super change like what I do. Like I like to hang out on Pinterest. And so then I also have this design board. And so I'm like, you know, stuff that I like, that I think is fun and cute. And like notice like it doesn't necessarily have to be like super designy. Good source for free graphics. There are a couple ones. It depends on what you want. You always want to look for like royalty free images. Yeah, there's no source control on Pinterest. It's a super big issue. They actually get in trouble for it a lot. For sure. So finding free graphics, you want to find royalty-free images. There's a couple different ways to do it. For like doing mock-ups and stuff, you can normally just get away with like Google imaging for stuff. If you are going to be doing professional front-end development, I do recommend sucking it up and getting a membership to like some kind of royalty-free image stuff. So like Getty Images or stuff like that.
What are you supposed to do with those licenses? Like I purchase images and you get like the license file or whatever, but then what do you do with it? Just save it?
It's yours, yeah. Yeah. So this is also Shutterstock. They do the royalty-free images. So if you are doing like your own personal stuff, you just get to like use it and you're probably fine. But if you are going to be making stuff, you need to probably do something like this and pay for a service like this. They're not super expensive. They're a couple dollars a month. You typically end up owning the image. And like you can see, we got a lot of different stuff going on. That is what I recommend if you are going to be a like professional freelance developer. Signing up for a royalty-free image service is how I would do this. And like some of them are free. And so like you can like, there you go, click on this. Download for free. So like, you know, and it's your image. I like that it thinks that this is a similar image to this. It thinks it's flooring. Oh, and look, we can get pictures of the same model. How weird.
Okay. Doing different stuff.
Yeah, that's weird, man. So that's what I recommend. But again, like if you're just like doing your own thing, you can just use your own thing. There's also Getty Images, which are like much more, they're kind of the Mac Daddy for all of this stuff. It's Getty Images. They're normally like what you see when like you think about stock photos. It's Getty Images. So, you know, you get all sorts of stuff. The other thing is, like, a lot of times you can use people's stuff if you don't claim that it's yours. Wow.
Why?
Yeah. Krabby Krab.
I am literally just shocked. But yeah, anyways, so Getty's kind of expensive, but like you can get, that's why I recommend something like Shutterstock or something, because you just pay a couple dollars a month and you get stuff like that. There are also other things like this for music content and video content. I think it's called Story Break or Story Blocks. I don't remember. But if you need music, you need royalty-free music or royalty-free video, they do that kind of stuff too. And you just pay a couple dollars a month. This is I don't know. So there's images for whatever you need. It is expensive, yeah. I don't know why. I like this market freeze thing. Like you can just like say this is mine now. That's crazy. A little bit derailed, but yeah. That's where you can get stuff like that. If you are just doing like, your portfolio website and you're just using images, that's probably fine. If they have a watermark or some kind of other maker's mark on it, like, it's probably fine. The only thing you really need to be careful of is like saying it's your own work, or getting other people to pay you for images is like the big thing. If you're just like using images from the internet on your website, it's probably fine. That's going to take me a while to recover from. That's a good question. And the same thing for like animation and that kind of stuff too. Like, if you don't know how to do it, like, you can just get other people to do it for you and pay for it. And it's normally like crazy cheap. Like, you can go to Fiverr and be like, hi, I want an animated logo. And you pay like $20 and you get an animated logo. All right. So what I want to talk about next are, there's also this, which I think is his YouTube channel. No. Here's a whole bunch of design resources. Like, a whole bunch. Highly, highly recommend. And then bam, actually here's a whole bunch. Here's a bunch of free vector graphics. There you go. It's nice. Free music, stock videos, stock photos. Got Unsplash. Yeah. Yep. So this is definitely like a resource for all of this stuff. Then you can just be like, okay, I want this. I want ladies' shoes. So yeah. All of this is in your syllabus. Highly, highly recommendo. It must be Mixed Kit because that's the only one that's on both of them. Yeah, so all of these royalty-free things mean that it is like just free to use. Some of them will have stuff that like you can't use for commercial, so you have to read it. But like copyright free, free music for projects, royalty free, yeah, exactly, free. It's very wonderful. Cool. So use this. Different Bootstrap stuff, animation, UI components, React UI stuff for Vue, stuff for civility. I don't recommend spending time with that. Like, use all of these things. Look, there's Figma. And a lot of these.
I love it that you're like free. That's awesome, though. That's a lot of resources.
Yeah, like this is what I use. I use Krita. I use Krita for stuff. I use GIMP for stuff. These are like, and then bam, this is where we were. So, Dribble and awards, like, highly recommendo. Spend some time here, and then here's just like weird stuff like CodePen. Also this Tiny Helpers one. I actually have this saved. I use this a lot. It's a whole bunch of free things to help make development easier. Yes, it is in English now too. I started using Krita when it was only in Japanese. So Krita is now in English, which makes it much easier to use. So this is called Tiny Helpers. It's part of that thing. I can also put this link in Slack for y'all. No, I do not speak Japanese, which is why it was very hard to use that software. But it was kind of like Photoshop-y, and so I could just kind of like work around it and copy and paste the Japanese into Google if I got stuck. But yeah, so this is Tiny Helpers. All of these tools are free, and then all of these design resources are free. Yeah, exactly. They all look pretty much the same. Exactly.
So, Canva, what exactly can you do with that?
Canva is like this, like, middle ground between like learning Photoshop and like not. It's cheaper than Photoshop for sure, and it's also like supposedly it's easier. I've never used Canva.
I love it. I
No,
pay for Adobe Illustrator and I have Canva, and I'm fairly quick to pick up on stuff. I think most of us are, that are in this class, right? I'm telling you, Canva, I love it. Like I've done things like designing labels for like my candles and bath products that took me like a whole day on and off on Adobe Illustrator. I've done it on Canva in 30 minutes. Like so it is easier. I will say that.
and like that's what I've typically heard from people who use Canva is that they're like, wow, it's super easy. I don't use it personally, but that's because like I'm kind of bought into the Adobe infrastructure, or I use Krita for stuff. Bless you. Bless you.
Lord Jesus.
Bless you.
Poor baby.
I thought you were done. You done? Okay. She's done now.
Good.
But yes, these are lots of different resources. Highly recommend them. Yeah, a Canva class would be super popular. For sure. But yeah, image compression, like all sorts of stuff. Highly recommend. I think these like tools are really wonderful. I know it's kind of early, but I'm out of water, so I want to go take a break.
Okay.
Let's take our break. Let's come back at 2:25. I can't do that math.
Yeah, let's do 2:25.
Let's do 2:25. All right. We'll be back.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Did you listen to the water song?
I did not. I do not own a Facebooks.
Oh, you don't have to have a Facebook to listen to it. You just go to the link. But I listened to it like 5 times. It was awesome. I was like, this is gonna be the last time. I was like, no, let's go back and rewatch it.
No, we can redo it. All right. Excellente. All right. So, all right. So, what I want to talk about next are these design patterns. So, we've talked about design languages, and a design language is kind of like a set of rules and components that have already been done for us. Design patterns are more of ways of thinking about building out systems so that we can make good design choices. So the two that we're going to talk about are interactive design and user-centered design. I need to sleep more, y'all. It's very sad. So interactive design is when we make design choices based on how a human is going to interact with the system and what these interactions look like. So think about like interaction-based design is stuff like the touch menus when you go to like a fast food restaurant and you can order with a touch screen instead of talking to a human. Those are interaction-based designs. User-centered design is very popular right now, and user-centered design is focusing on what the user wants and needs. So I think some examples of user-centered design are like our higher end retail things. So like I think like Tesla does a really good idea with or a good job with user-centered design. I think social media does user-centered design really well. It makes the user feel happy or successful when they have completed an interaction. So those are our two big flavors. I'm not going to talk too much about them. I just want you guys to be aware of design patterns, our choices we make. I know, listen. I know, listen, that's great. I know Wikipedia. Wikipedia is useful. I would like to donate money to you, but I am sadly also a nonprofit. So this is meaningful communication is kind of the big idea. Simple, clearly defined goals, strong purpose, and it's intuitive. And that's kind of the whole point of this kind of design. And again, I think like very transactional design that feels successful when you do it, because there are interactive design that just sucks. Like, again, like job application things, or like, I don't know if you guys have done like school applications recently.
Oh yeah,
They're terrible. Like, they are technically interactive, but they're very hard to use. So things like touchscreen shopping experiences. I think a lot of apps, like phone apps, do a really good job with interactive design, and that's kind of the whole idea, is that you're making choices based on how things are going to interact with each other. Use the touchscreen on my laptop more than you thought you would. Yeah, I would love to have a touchscreen laptop. My boyfriend has a Surface, and I really enjoy being able to touch, and I like being able to draw on it too. I think it's really nice. Cool. So that's interactive design. This is really useful for, yeah, no doubt. I know the yogas are really cheap. I know. That's what I told my mom to get for her kids. Yeah, Apple says no. Basically, they're like, you go and buy a laptop and you go and buy iPad Pro, and the twain shall never meet. Yeah. I kind of want one of the yoga laptops. I think they're neat. There's also all the foldable class, which I think is really neat too. So that's interactive design. It's design that's based, you're making your design choices based on how a user will use your actual application. So you're making choices like, oh, when a user clicks on this menu, this happens, and it should look like this so they know what's going on. So that's what interactive design is. User-centered design, on the other hand, is based more on this idea of like working with your users to get them exactly what they want. So highly usable and highly accessible. This requires a lot more user research. This is the process. Specify, design, evaluate. Do it again. And that's kind of this idea is like you are considering the whole experience and you are making something that feels enjoyable. I think, again, like Tesla or any of the luxury cars, I think, do a really good idea with this user-centered design. Trying to think what else. I think some banks do a good job with this. I think most banks tend to be more iterative than this. User-centered and iterative do not have to be separate, but they tend to be two different ways to look at design patterns. So any questions about these two guys? Yeah, and this is kind of more just to set you up so we can have an idea of what these other design ways of thinking are. I do briefly want to talk about this thing called dark patterns, just so you're aware. We build design patterns to help our users achieve a result. Because of this, we are using things like psychology and that kind of stuff. They can be used for ill intent also. So dark patterns are when you have made UX choices to make a user do something they don't mean to. So we've all experienced this before.
Making an account before you buy something?
Making an account before you buy something. A few types. So trick questions. And so this is like questions that are worded weird. You've probably seen this before, that it's like, you know, it maybe uses like double negatives. So those pre-checked sign me up for emails are illegal in the UK, in the European Union now. So those will probably stop being a thing.
The what?
People hated it. Pre-checked email signups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Opt-ins and things. Yeah. So trick questions, putting stuff in your cart without you understanding, like without them telling you it. Yeah. That's something that's not good to do. Roach motels, which are like, I would argue that like most like streaming services do this. So like it's really easy to sign up for something, but like it's so hard to get out of it. I would also like a very analog version of this is Books A Million tries to get you to sign up for magazine subscriptions with a free year, and then all you do is say yes when you're at the store, but then you have to call to get out of it. Yeah, exactly. And so that is a dark pattern. You are making a user do something that they do not intend to. Private zuckering is like, it's making fun of Facebook, and it's just something is unclear or something is or maybe it's even worded in a way that makes it seem like it's not as big of a deal as it is. And so then suddenly you have a lot of your private information out there when you didn't intend to. Again, mostly social media stuff does this, but like retail could also do this kind of stuff. Like, you know, I don't want my address just Jay chillin' hanging out on, you know, Urban Outfitters website because I bought something from them. Again, this one's a little bit more retail flavored, is price comparison prevention. There's a couple different ways that people do this. One of them is like you have to add an item to a cart to see the price. It makes it a lot harder to understand stuff. Phone apps too. Why does a flashlight need phone permissions? Big sip. Yeah, the other thing is misdirection. I think this gets done a lot. So like maybe like there's a really bright animation somewhere, and then at the bottom it's like, by the way, we're gonna steal your kidneys. Like there's something going on that, or like I think a lot of food safety. There's a lot of people will put their their food safety rating as part of a word. And so like food safety maybe rating is what I want. Nope, it's gone, I guess. But like they had a food rating of a B. And so then they were like, come join us for brunch, and put their poor food rating up as part of the word. It's misdirection. Yeah, terms of services are misdirection. A lot of people think that they are not really great because nobody reads them, and people know that. Some of the other things are hidden costs. Again, this kind of goes more for like retail, but I think like subscription services do this too. So like you add something to your cart, and then like right before you hit checkout, like your last step, they charge you more money for something. Bait and switch are like probably like illegal. Yeah, eBay is full of bait and switch. Yeah. Yep. This gets into like borderline illegal stuff. Like if I would also say this does happen a lot with online sales, especially if you're not on like a real retailer. Like I buy stuff from Alibaba. You sometimes don't get what you intended, and that's not great. This one is one of my personal pet peeves, is confirm shaming. So they use really guilty language to try to get you to do something. And this is one of my personal pet peeves. So to be like, exactly, yeah, like sometimes you've probably seen this when you try to uninstall from something, or like I was going to online therapy for a long time, but my therapist doesn't have her same schedule anymore. So I had to, cancel my subscription. And it was like, well, are you sure? Can you please write why you're canceling? And like, it was just super, super like, why are you leaving me? It's an online service. Leave me alone. Yeah. And so like, this is a really not great way of interacting with your user. Because like, I like this online therapy service for most of it. Canceled my Prime account and go through 4 pages of yes, I'm sure. Yeah. So like this is a really negative, dark pattern, because like you're not creating a UX UI experience to help your users get what they want. Disguised ads, again, like you put ads somewhere that like doesn't look like an ad. Yeah. Forced continuity. This one's really annoying, I think, is like they don't send you an email or something saying that your what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you do like your Netflix 30-day free trial, and then it immediately starts charging you without sending you an email being like, hey, your subscription's about to start, manage your account here. Yeah, disguised ads, I think, are definitely geared for like non-internet savvy people. But it's still like, like you got a photo gallery, and like, the third photo's an ad, like, it's problematic. Yeah, but like you shouldn't have to. Like, you know, Netflix should shoot you email, be like, hey, this what's up. I will say my like way around, like if I want something is like I'll just binge watch everything. Like I watched Looking for Alaska in like a weekend. It's a good show. If you want to cry, highly recommend Looking for Alaska. It's on Hulu. It's definitely very like teen YA, you know, sad high school drama, but you know, every now and then it's nice to have some junk food. It is sad though, so if you don't want to be sad, I don't recommend it. Okay, the last dark pattern I want to talk about is friend spam. I think this one is a little bit less prevalent than it used to be. I could be wrong, but like it, you like download an app and it asks for permissions and then it posts on your behalf without telling you. I think a lot of mobile games used to do this a lot, but I think it's less of a thing now. And then we also have the Hall of Shame. So this goes through all of our, there we go, look. Games host on Facebook, yep. And then just like Haley said, 4 pages of all that to get through. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to put this in your Slack channel for y'all. Yeah, by the way, like I showed you guys Pinterest because that's where I hang out at, but like whatever social media you prefer, like add a couple, you know, designers to it. And it can really help bulk up your language. I also recommend like doing that for like programmers too, like, you know, Facebook follow some like free code camp and like that kind of stuff, just so that way like it's there. Yeah. Cool. So I just wanted to talk about design patterns and also talk about dark patterns because these are things to avoid as we're developing and designing stuff. And like being able to explain why we want to avoid those, I think is really important because like, why do people do those? Why do people use dark patterns?
Manipulation!
Yeah, to get what?
To get what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a lot of it comes down to money because like a lot of these things work. It's really easy. Yeah, money or data, which data is money now. So like, you know, and so like be aware that like if you're asked to do these things to be able to talk about it and be like, well, you know, in the short term we might get this kind of gain, but in the long term it'll be negatively impactful because of user dissatisfaction. Like that's a conversation you can have with these resources, you know, and it's something that you can be aware of and understand is like you just, you know, use software and like be like, oh, they're doing this. Okay. Any questions about that kind of stuff? All right. The next thing that I want to talk about is design systems. We talked about Figma. I also didn't log into Adobe XD because I'm a terrible person. So I will do that at some point and give you a tour of Adobe XD, I promise. So I want to talk about component libraries and style guides. Hey, spoiler alert, y'all built a component library yesterday. Component libraries are just like you build a set of building blocks or you use someone else's so you have consistent styling. Like the materials design is a component library. There's a bunch of components that you can just use. These are also really nice when you build out components like these because then you can reuse them across projects. So you just build out stuff. We also have style guides like we saw before too, with like the human interaction guideline. It's a set of instructions that tell you how to style stuff. It's kind of like a brand guide. If you've ever worked with a company that's given you a brand guide, a style guide is very close to a brand guide, just possibly a little bit more technical. This is specifically a JavaScript style guide, so this like says like how you should write your JavaScript, which I think is really worthwhile to look through. So maybe I should find a brand guide to put in here too, because this is more for code style. Oh, there we go. There's a League of Legends one, so I'm sure that's not ugly. Let's go take a look. Oh no, that's a build guide. His name is Brand. Annoying. But yeah, so this is a whole, can I just see? I want to see it. See it? There we go. Oop. So this is a brand guide for Medium. I don't personally like Medium. I think they do some shady stuff, but that's a personal opinion. So this is their whole brand guide. It is a whole book about how do you make this stuff. I'll put this inside for y'all too. Brand guides are really nice. Nice. I don't super like Medium, but brand guides are really wonderful to look through and think about. That's pretty. This is probably something more like what you would see. Do not use the full Skype logo under any circumstance. Weird.
That is weird.
Mm-hmm. Spoofy. The other thing about a lot of these brand guides is they also will give you resources too. And so you can be like, hey, I want the background, I want your logo, I want blah, blah, blah. It will just give it to you. Weird. But yeah, so that's brand guides. They're just another resource so you don't have to make every single decision when you're building out tools by yourself. Okay, so that ends our design section. And I'll do Adobe XD tomorrow. I'm going to write it down right now. So I do not forget. And to answer your question why, I don't know, probably part of their rebranding to make Skype seem cool and hip. So any design questions about anything we've covered so far? Skype's still, see? Yeah, there you go. You'd be like, it's not hip and fresh. You tell them. You know, I was going to say my very common, I went to bed early, but I did not go to bed early last night, which is probably why I'm stuttering. All right. So we're going to switch gears and we're going to start talking about project management. So project management is a slightly different shift from development work, but understanding how project management works will make you a better developer. We youngins don't use the word hip. Oh, I'm old. Oh well. It'll be aight. And we say aight. Is aight still part of the vocab?
Oh Lord.
Yes? Okay, great. Cool. Very cool. Ah, that's funny. Okay. We'll get ZZ to be our in touch barometer. She'll tell us if we're in touch with the youngs. So project management is a whole role. You can also be a project owner. You can be a scrum master. Like there's a whole lot of this in here. This can be a very technical role, especially if your project manager is a tech lead. It's a very technical role, or it's a lot more people managing. And it could be more like a traditional manager. I can't, my mom says savage, and so like I do not see it as very hip and young. So
Yeah, but she teaches kids.
she does teach kids, you're right. You are correct. Yeah. I suppose. So we're going to talk about some ideas about how software gets built. They say that gives her a pass. We're going to talk about how software actually gets built. So we've talked a lot about like building software and like making these things and designing stuff and databases, but like how do you actually like make software? And that's where project management comes in. We will be learning the Agile methodology because that is what is most common right now. There are older methodologies that are still used, but Agile development is the most common one, and it's one of the soft skills that hiring managers look for. So that's what we're going to learn. So first I want to give you guys like a visual representation of software development stuff so we can talk about it. I just want the comic, please. Okay. Can I go open this in a new tab? So software development over the years has changed a lot. Oh my goodness. So I want to talk, this kind of goes through history about how things have been and what we do now. So this is, I think, what is how people think it all works. So waterfall methodology is the like most traditional way of building anything. It's our factory way. But it has some problems. So what happens is like we get a client who places an order. This is what they want. It's a sports car. Maybe they have some unrealistic expectations. And then it goes through all of these steps. And it can't go to the next step until this step is finished. So things that are good about this is like it's stable. It's super stable, y'all. Everybody has a really clear defined role. But it's not flexible. And like, so if you're building a really huge application, how likely is it that stuff's going to change while you're building it?
Highly likely.
Yeah. And so this is not forgiving of that kind of process. The other thing is most waterfall stuff does not have testing in the beginning. So notice testing is the last step. So there's the 3 other whole steps here with all these people that had to get paid to do stuff. So if the testing part fails, it has to go all the way back to the beginning. And so it can be really time consuming. This is pretty traditional, but we can see that there's a lot of waiting and waste and like there's a lot of like, you know, maybe people they'll get a different thing than what they want, and like it can end up being not a great flow. There are still places that do this, especially older places. Like if you work for the government, you might end up still in something like this. Yeah, and it's a lot of wasted time. Okay, so the next piece is agile. This is what is very popular right now. It's adaptable, it's fast, it's changing. So agile is like you build an MVP and then you work with your client to make changes, and every time you are looking at these things to make new things better. And then, your clients are involved in the process. And as things change, things can change. So,
Ooh, looks chaotic though.
it is a little bit chaotic. Agile is very fast-paced, and it can be kind of hard to manage. It can also be hard to get a fully finished product because you're always working on it to make it better. And it also can be really stressful for developers because, like, adaptable to changing circumstances. You're building a sports car here, and homeboy wants an SUV. That's a totally different thing. So the downsides of agile are client expectations can be too hard when they can be out of scope. They can ask you for too much. Things can change too quickly, and you can lose sight of what you were originally building. And it can be chaotic, and you can lose a lot of things. So that's agile development. But that is what is pretty much used right now is agile development. Things are broken up into sprints. You have a project manager, you got a scrum master. Like, this is typically what's used. Okay. Avoiding chaos. Scrum masters make good money. So as we've said, this looks chaotic. So these are two ways that we can organize our stuff so we have less chaos. The first is Kanban. A Kanban board, real simple. You make a board, you get a Kanban person to manage it, and they decide what goes on the board and they move stuff. This is what I use for my personal work. I use Kanban boards for everything. Like, if I'm doing a software project by myself, I use Kanban boards. If I'm managing a team, I use Kanban boards. A really easy way to do Kanban boards is just use Trello. I haven't used Trello in a long time. Trello is a free to-do list management thing. Login. Highly recommend learning how to use Trello. It sets you up to learn how to use other stuff like it sets you up to learn new things like Jira, which is a industry standard thing, but Jira costs a lot of money. Trello is free. So you make a thing called a board. I don't know what Sonic is. We'll look at Sonic. Oh, it's a Kanban board. Okay, so clearly this was me teaching this last time. So Kanban boards are a way to organize work. So you put all your to-do stuff here. Then once they get moved to doing, you do them here. And then you have a testing, and then they're done. Comments, all that. Trello is really easy to use, so then we can be like, I don't know, what's after the green zone? I don't remember. Get them ranked. Great. My hedgehog is the wrong color, but that's all they had. And then you can move it to doing, and then you move it to testing, and then moves to done. And that's how, in like a nutshell, Kanban boards work. You got to do, doing, and done. It's like your most basic one. Most of them will have QA. Jira works relatively the same, but it has a little bit more nuance, and you can hook it up to your code and all that kind of stuff. Yes, you can share this with others. You just change it here. So you can give it a team or public and all that. So you can share this with others. No, this was, I guess I was just talking about Sonic a lot last class when I taught this. I haven't talked about this idea of points. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it in just a second. But yes, that's a Kanban board. You use Kanban and Agile together. Or you can use Scrum. Supersonic speech, hedgehog speed. Okay, yeah. I like Sonic a lot, y'all. I don't know why it's such in my brain, but it really is. Okay, so an alternative way to manage Agile development is Scrum. You have a Scrum Master. Yeah.
What does it do?
Here he is. They prevent this thing called scope creep. And the idea is like
Scope what?
creep.
Okay.
And the idea with this is like if you say you're going to do something, that's all you're going to do. There is no actually could we, or I think it'd be cool if. No. You are going to make this thing that you are doing for this 2 weeks, and that's it. You can smush all of these together, so you can have an Agile thing with Scrum and a Kanban board. Typically, it's Scrum and Agile is your typical stack. And so you work with the client, you give 2-week sprints of like what you're doing to make incremental improvements. That should be cool, but we're not doing that. Yeah, exactly. You add it to the backlog. We're not touching it that week. And so that's the point with Scrum, is that you're building little tiny fast blocks of time. Benefits to both of these organizational methods are it reduces chaos a lot. It makes goals very easy to track. It helps people know what they're supposed to be doing. The downsides of this is a lot of overhead. So keeping everything on track and organized and like all of that adds a lot more work. So you need to have a Scrum Master. You need to have like people organizing this, and you need to put your work on the board, and like you have to do stand-ups, and like setting up these things can be very time intensive, which is why some people don't like these things, is because they're a lot of time set up. Okay. Our last stack is Lean. This is like your startup stack. This is like you are making your fast thing. So like minimum viable product, fast delivery, minimum waste, test and prod, all that. Benefits, fast, simple, easy to manage. Downsides, not robust, easily broken, no testing. So this is a lot of different mentalities. We're going to mostly be working in Agile and Scrum with some Kanban, flow.
Wait, the only point I got for Lean was like designed for fast delivery and like startups use it. Oh, minimum viable product. So they're not testing and they're not worried too much about the outcome. They're just trying to get something out basically. Gotcha.
Exactly. MVPs are really wonderful for startups or also like just proof of concepts. Like, you want to make a new service for something, make an MVP. It's fine, But like to make a professional finished quality, you're probably going to have to use some different kind of project management stuff. Yeah, this is like typically you go here and then maybe you go into like Scrum and Agile to build up using the small incremental changes. And that tends to be a pretty normal flow for most things. Cool. Planes with cars. So any questions about these guys? We'll be spending most of our time talking about Agile and Scrum. Yeah, feature creep. Scope creep is like one of like the banes of like project managers' existence.
Like, so other people who are supposed to be working like on something else, you mean? Like going into other aspects of the project, or?
Kind of, yeah. So like scope creep when I was working in a .NET environment with car insurance is there were always, so like there would be like, okay, this is what work we're doing. And you know, we'd pick out a bunch of reasonable work that we could accomplish in the 2 weeks. And then like the client would be like, well, what if we also, and so then it's too much work and things get dropped. And so that's kind of what scope creep is. Or changing your mind halfway through, or trying to add new stuff, or, oh, I want to do this in a different kind of environment. All that kind of stuff is scope creep.
Gotcha. Too many changes, like unnecessary changes. Okay.
Or even like stuff that would be cool. Like it would totally like, you know, you want to make a website to sell hats. And then, you know, they're like, ooh, let's make a hat subscription service. That's cool, but probably not what we need to do this, you know, week.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So let's read the Agile Manifesto. I hate their website with a burning passion, but you know. You know, it's what we got, I guess.
It's absolutely horrible.
I hate it a lot. Is this a good example of brutalism? Yeah. Yep. Yup. Here's what I would like this website to look like, though. This is my redesign for Agile. I think it looks better. So this is like the manifesto for Agile software development. What we're doing with this is figuring out a better way to make software that is high quality. This is what the manifesto is. We value interactions and individuals over processes and tools. So what that means is we make decisions about what to use based on humans. So like we don't do something just because we use a tool already. We value working software over comprehensive documentation. So that's where we spend a lot of our time. This is one of the ones that I think is like the most problematic of the Agile stuff. I think it is the reason that there's so much undocumented stuff right now. We value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So like we care more about interacting with people and like making things work than, you know, getting everything in writing. And we value responding to change over following a plan. And that is like the big strength of Agile, is like you can really quickly change to something new, which for web dev is really important. Because I mean, like, think about with like the pandemic, like how much stuff changed in months, weeks, you know? And so being able to quickly respond to change in development makes your business more competitive. And that's the whole idea. I think you still need to document your stuff. So any questions about these points? Cool.
Hey, sorry, I was asking something. Is that an example of Agile, this one that you're presenting right now?
Agile is a software development methodology. So it would be like, if I made you all do stand-ups every day and like changed your homework while you were doing it, all that kind of stuff. So it's not like a design thing, it's a how do we build software thing.
Right. Well, what is this an example of?
This
I
is
missed
the
something.
manifesto. This is the like foundational rules for Agile.
Oh, okay, these are the rules. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool. That's in your syllabus. So let's talk a little bit about Scrum. So Agile is building components. What do you mean? You would have cried. What are you talking about?
Changing our homework while we're doing it.
Okay, I'm with you. I think it'd be fun. Oh.
Yeah, for you, not for us.
Halfway through, like, oh, I finally got it to work. Oh, wait, forget that. Take that out. You got to do something else.
That web development feels like a lot, though, honestly.
Look at that evil laugh.
Yep. I do change some things. Like, I don't have to do the parts we don't go over. Yeah. I try not to set you up.
Yeah, but you do it before, not after.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true.
I think that's what some of the students were saying that I was doing one year, my first year teaching a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Towards the end of school, every time we come around, she's changing things, especially one student, but she wasn't coming to school often. So every time she came to school, something was different with the rules. Because I guess I felt like nothing was working. So I kept trying to make something work. But then I realized you have to stay consistent with that one thing. And eventually, I mean, they'll get used to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Just because they put off a big front and don't cooperate doesn't mean it's not working. It means you got to stick with it. And eventually everyone will
stick to it. Yep. Yeah, that's one of the things that like it's been like, no, you just got to do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was just brought it up because she was like, oh, that would be horrible. It just made me think about that experience. What one of the students was saying in particular. They would probably say, well, that's Miss Oliphant was Agile. I don't think I would. But yeah.
Oh, y'all, I forgot my dog outside. Poor thing.
So let's talk a little bit about Scrum. So I'm going to talk kind of like overview about what this looks like in real world stuff. And we're going to break through all of these pieces. And then I'll talk about your homework. So here is typically how development works in my limited experience, plus my experience talking to other people. So I've done a bunch of contract work for nonprofits, international companies. I've done the little things, big projects. So I have worked in a bunch of different environments, but my experience is not the end all be all. This is also from talking to other people like project owners, hiring managers, and like talking about what they use and what they don't use. And tech leads, I talk to like a lot of tech leads. Like Wes is a tech lead, so like I talk to him about this stuff a lot. So you get this thing called a backlog. A backlog is just kind of like an unorganized to-do list. It's just like, here's everything we could do to make a cool project, whatever your product is, you know, car insurance, toothpaste selling website, the IRS website, you know, whatever your product is. Here's every possible thing we could do. Then every like 2 or 4 weeks, you have a meeting with your project manager and your scrum master and your client, and everybody sits down and talks about what they think is the most important to do for this sprint. And a sprint is just a certain amount of time where you're going to work on specific goals. So then you pick some stuff from the backlog and you put it into your sprint. You work on those things. They get tested by your QA people. And then at the end of the sprint, you do a review and a retrospective. And so what that means is you talk about what went well and what didn't go well, and like you talk about what needs to get done for the next one, because maybe not everything got done. And during the sprint, every day, you have a quick stand-up that's like a couple minutes long where you're like, I'm working on this. I need so-and-so to help me with this. And that's kind of like an overview of how it works. It doesn't always perfectly work like that, but that's the goal. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. So you start with a backlog, which is just a like general to-do list. Like, here's everything we could do. It's just a big list. It's not super detailed, and like it's just a list. Then at the beginning of your sprint, which is just a set of time, normally 2 weeks is the normal time, you've got some developers, you got some Scrum Masters, you got some clients, and you all sit down and talk about what you want to do for these 2 weeks, your sprint.
Wait, so first is the product backlog and then the sprint planning meeting, or does it really, the sprint planning meeting is now, okay.
Yeah, release planning is a little bit bigger. I'll go through all of these in order. I'm just kind of talking about like general flow right now. But yeah, release planning is like bigger cycles. And so like you might only do release planning like 3 times a year. That's like your bigger thing. Like you're like, well, we're going to do version 2 of the software. That would be a whole release.
Got it.
Yeah, and like you don't necessarily have to have a backlog for your first release, but that's typically how things work, is you have a pre-existing backlog. Because you're very rarely starting a whole brand new project, so you almost always have a backlog already. So you have your planning meeting where you decide what work you're going to do for the next 2 weeks. Every day during those 2 weeks, you have a quick meeting where you just talk about stuff. You just kind of are like, this is what's up. And then your sprint has a little backlog too. And that's just our first column of our board. It's just like, bam, here's our to-do list for these 2 weeks. And these have a lot better idea of what needs to get done. So it'll be like, oh, instead of just like maybe in the backlog, it just says change logo. It'll say update logo on client-facing site with new brand guideline. It'll be a much more detailed way of talking through what you should do. And then that's what you do every day to kind of like refine things. You talk about what you're working on. You ask for help if you're blocked. All that kind of stuff. Then once it's done, once this 2 weeks is done, you do a review and retrospective. And you talk about what went well during that sprint and what didn't go well and what you needed to succeed for the next time. Does that make more sense?
Yes.
All right. So let's, what are you? You can become Scrum certified, and Scrum Masters do make a lot of money. So like if like this kind of like organizational stuff like makes your brain happy, doing project management can be a really wonderful career. Or being a Scrum Master.
Have enough technical knowledge to go and get a Scrum certification? Because I feel like you still need to understand tech a little bit, right? Like you can't just jump and run a project if you don't know a little bit of code, like, so.
Yes, the people who I think are good Scrum Masters are people who have technical knowledge and people skills. You definitely do not have to be as technical as a developer or a tech lead, but people who have an understanding of development make better project managers and project and Scrum masters.
So how do you become a Scrum master?
You take the class and you get certified. It's an actual like certification. Yeah.
And it costs money?
Yes. So I do recommend getting it paid for.
How much is it?
We're finding out right now. $150. It's not
And
bad.
they make a lot of money?
That's just the test though, huh? The class is something else, or that's the price for the class?
I don't know if you have to pay for the class separately too.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I've always been interested in this, especially when I saw like really how much they make. But I was like, you need to know something about development first. There's no way.
Yeah, so like learning development definitely sets you apart and it will make you a better project manager. But like if you're a businessy person, like
yeah,
you can be a businessy person and that's fine. But yeah. So this is Scrum, this is like the training cert, and like I will say like right here, it's not mandatory. Like you don't necessarily need to have this certification in order to be like a Scrum Master. Like I've done this and I'm definitely not certified. I do not have the people in capacity. Yeah, and like if you don't want to, that's great. Be a tech lead. You do not have to be a manager in order to advance in your technical career. Like that's fine. Like Chandler, love that boy. He's not a good manager. He lacks a lot of the peopling skills. And that's okay. Because like he has a lot more technical skill than I do. Like he is a much better like object-oriented programmer than I am. But he ain't got the peopling skills. And so it's a balance.
Huh?
So yeah. So this kind of talks about what Scrum is. It goes into a little bit more depth. I got people skills. I don't know. Have you ever managed other people? Because like, so there's a difference between being nice and people skills.
Yeah, definitely. Because as a manager, you have to deal with a whole bunch of crap and still smile and be professional.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, can you de-escalate situations? Can you clearly understand what people actually want to give them what they need? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Good
and
listening skills.
Yep, you need psychology and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are just different.
Yeah. And what's really like, I guess always something that's been weird for me to always understand is just like, I try really hard to be intentional with how I talk. And so then like when people are unintentional with how they talk, my brain is just like,
shut down.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my God, I did 5 years.
Yeah, you know, yeah, and like you can fire the wrong people, like all sorts of stuff. Like you know, it is really hard to have good management skills. And like I worked for some terrible managers. Like, because you can be really smart and really wonderful and be a terrible manager.
Oh yeah.
Or you can be dumb as a box of rocks and be a good manager.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's me. Dumb as a box of rocks. A good manager. Everybody loves me.
Oh, the 2-day class on their website is like $13.95. Early bird promotion on $9.95 though.
Where?
On the same website, scrum.org, if you want to do their 2-day class that preps you for the assessment. If you get it early, it's $9.95, like $995. And then if you wait till the last minute, then it's $13.95. So like $1,400. But if you go look at the salaries, let me tell y'all.
Go get it paid for. Go get a development job and then go get it paid for and then go be a Scrum manager.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Companies do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is also one of the things with development is like they will pay for a lot of your stuff like this. Like if you want to get a certification, a lot of places will pay for it for you. Yeah. I'm reading everybody's stuff so I can catch up. Yeah, and like it's hard. Like being a manager is really hard, and like it's challenging to be engaged. Especially, it's really challenging to be engaged with people who are a lot different than you. What's the hardest thing as a manager? For me personally, it's always been discipline for apathy. That's always been what's really hard for me. So like, well, for me, conflict resolution wasn't too hard, but like when people just didn't care, that was like the hardest thing for me to deal with. Because like, what am I gonna do? You don't care. So that's always been for me when I've managed people. That's always been what's the hardest part for me.
Okay, conflict resolution. Have somebody throw plates at you.
Okay. This is what I would do. Okay, why are they throwing the plates?
Because they mad because they got fired.
Okay. I'd be like, hey, I understand, but listen, where's the job at? Where are they working at?
A Waffle House.
They in school, like out of school.
No, they're like grown adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be like, hey, listen, you ain't gotta throw plates. I want you to go snag a job, go find another job. Don't throw plates.
I had to call the cops.
Yeah, and like sometimes that's how it is. I've had to call the cops on kids before. Do you know how like
Kids can be bad.
kids can be real bad?
Yeah.
They don't know the consequence. Fearless,
No.
I guess.
No, at all. They got no concept of the future.
But you know what, kids, I understand, but grown adults, come on now.
No.
Have common sense.
None.
I mean, you know you did wrong. You know you stole money. So yeah, you're gonna get fired. Simple.
That's it. Why are you friend? Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Well, that's a whole other thing of like being able to own up to your own faults is really hard.
I think they were like in their 20s, late 20s.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what I want to do real quick, and like asking questions about like how to be a good manager is totally fine because like it is hard and like you know, having any kind of management experience will make you a better project manager. So like, you know, I've managed retail, I've managed fitness facilities, and like that all went when I started managing technical projects because like it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're writing out an Excel schedule or you're making software. A lot of the same things are applicable. Oh, yeah.
Christmas was the worst day ever. And you just had to know the orders and what table it goes to, which server to call. It was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Pro. I kind of miss Waffle House.
That's how I feel sometimes too. Like every now and then I really miss I miss being a lifeguard.
Mm. Yeah,
All right. So I'm gonna write some formal definitions for these. I see your name. Yes, you're in the top of my list, and so when I'm organizing stuff, you get put on my list a lot. It's not bad. You're just at the top of my list when I'm making notes. Yeah, when you guys see your names in my notes, it's typically not bad things. It's me trying to remember whose stuff I've graded and whose stuff I haven't graded. Yeah. Yeah, man, anyways, like, you ever, like, you go out for on, like, Christmas, Thanksgiving, tip your people, like, 100%.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, they're working on Christmas, man. And I mean, like, yes, I understand that, like, there are people who don't celebrate Christmas, and so maybe they don't care. But, like, in general, you know, tip people.
And Waffle House, you have to work every holiday. Everybody has to work every holiday. The day before and the day after. For the men.
Yeah, one of my friends used to work at the Waffle House off of Bel Air Road, and she was like, it's the only day that we can get fired for not showing up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're in the hospital.
Uh-huh. That is pretty much it. All right. So your product backlog is, and I'll share this with all y'all as after we write it all. I just want to have a nice, like, formal definition for these guys, and then we'll talk about your homework.
Oh, so I don't have to write it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's just how it is. Like, and I mean, like, when I worked retail, that's how it was too. Like, I remember I broke, well, okay, I don't think I broke my toe, but like, dropped something on my foot and the nail fell off my foot. And, you know, so my shoe's filling up the blood and I'm just still working. That's just how it is. And so, like, you know, it's not reasonable, but like, it was go home and get fired or just stand on my possibly broken foot.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's how it would be. Yeah. And that's why, you know, I wish.
No
I mean,
work.
I live in Georgia.
Girl, please. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't get that.
over here. They
I'm
don't even.
sorry, my ear would be bleeding out. Yeah, and that's the thing is like, you know, and that was even like a nice retail job. Oh, yeah, no, it's super common. Yep, get blood everywhere. Yeah, no, man, like, and like that was one of my nice jobs too, where I almost broke my foot. But like, yeah, it's crazy out there. So I hope you guys don't have that kind of experience. And hopefully with development, you won't be living that kind of life. You'll get holidays off. Your most strenuous thing will be some wrist or eye strain.
That would be
Maybe
nice.
some headaches. So this is a list of tasks determined by client or PM. Organized. Okay. Yeah, and like that's it. We're gonna get on a little bit of my like. I'm probably gonna like sound like a communist, but like anyways, there's no such thing as unskilled labor. It's just labor that people won't pay enough for, and it's not
trained labor.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, there's no way that.
Yeah, there's no unskilled labor.
Yeah, there is no unskilled labor. Like, it's just not. All right, so release planning is a bigger communism. Capitalism is trying to brainwash you. Yeah, basically, people are worthwhile, and you know, all skills are worthwhile. All right, so release planning is setting up a bigger plan of to-dos for a product. We can put /project. These tend to be like maybe monthly releases or like seasonal releases. These are like big changes. So this would be like changing versions, adding like new features, like really big things. Sprint plannings are smaller, and these are for your like your small time block of sprint. Also, sometimes you'll plan out multiple sprints in a row, and so you'll plan out like 3 sprints to build up for a release. That's pretty common. It's like a cycle, and you're going to go through and cycle through these. Your sprint backlog is your starting to-do list for a sprint. Backlog tasks include things like grooming, organizing, prioritizing. And so that's what, when we talk about grooming, we mean things like organizing it, making sure things make sense. If something doesn't, like, if you realize that like a couple people have put similar tasks, you can combine them into one task. That's part of grooming. Prioritizing things to set things up for how things should work. So backlog grooming is a pretty common thing. It tends to go hand in hand with your sprint planning. So you organize your backlog and you spend some time thinking about what's the most important, and then you plan what you're doing for the next couple weeks. So that's how those two things tend to work together. Daily Scrum is a daily short meeting with whole team about what they are doing and if they have blockers. Blockers are the Scrum way of saying, like, hey, I'm stuck here. And this can be things like, I don't have access to a server. I have a technical issue I don't understand. All that kind of stuff. Our sprint review is a review. I know I don't like recursive definitions, but here we are. It's a review of the sprint, which is just saying, like, what happened. This one doesn't get into like what went well and what didn't go well. That's just like a review of what happened. Your retros are what went well, what didn't go well, how you feel, and what to do for success next time. All right, I'm gonna this for y'all into Slack real fast. Big. All right. So, any questions about these things?
If you're gonna just put it in like maybe a couple sentences or just a straightforward definition, how would you state the difference between what Agile is and what Scrum is? Because in my mind, I still kind of...
Yeah, they tend to work hand in hand together. You don't tend to do just Scrum and you don't tend to do just Agile. They do tend to go together. So Agile is the idea that we build software responsively.
Okay.
Scrum is a formal way of making work into increments.
Okay.
So like Agile is kind of like the overall idea, and Scrum is an implementation of like, this is how you do it. Yeah, I like the Scrum as a subset of Agile. I think that's a good definition too.
Thank you. Is it like a formal way of organizing? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I know, lots of writing today. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about what your solo project is. I lost this tab. Yup. Okay, so this does not super need, so you have, here's what I want, and then I'll talk about some things you can do. I want you to make a rock, paper, scissors game. This can literally be the most simple. It uses if-else statements and default HTML buttons. Great, you get 100. Also, that's what I want you to do. Just make a tic-tac-toe game. I highly, highly recommend writing out all of the things or like drawing a picture of how tic-tac-toe works. I'm sorry, not tic-tac-toe, rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Tic-tac-toe is also another common learn how to code game. This can be the most simple thing, or you can spend a lot of time with this and design it, run it as a node instance, so you can just like run it and host it. You can keep tracks of things, you can make sessions, you can make it pretty, like you can do all sorts of stuff. But like literally, if it is 3 buttons and it works, this is a very common thing. So like, please don't just copy paste somebody else's solution. I did write out the rules I would like you to follow. Yeah, there's a math way to do it. So that's fine. So I want you to make a rock, paper, scissors game, make it work, then you can do cool stuff with it. because I'm going to grade you on does it work. This is how the flow should be. The player clicks a button, the computer clicks a button, and a winner's chosen. You can maybe be like another cool bonus points would maybe be you could have an easy mode and a hard mode, and all that. Cool. So any questions about what I want for you guys for your homework? And again, the hard deadline for this is Friday night, but like that means that it's not due and it's going to be late until like next week. So you got a couple days before it's late, and then you got like a week before it's like late, and I'm not going to grade it anymore. Groovy?
Groovy. I don't think people say that no more.
They don't.
Oh, well. And it was homework 7, week 3 and 4 that we might need to install EJS on NPM. I just wanted to make sure I got the right notes from earlier.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're getting a module error that says EJS module not found, that's what's wrong.
Okay.
I can write that on that real fast for y'all.
I'm always getting an error. I need to go fix that stuff you sent. It's always like the smallest thing though, right? It's never like this big, like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like the tiniest things that mess up your code. Ah.
Yeah, we were, I think Zizi and I were doing stuff and like it was literally like, oh, we'll run that. Oh, that's spelled wrong.
Yeah, when someone else looks at your code, it's like a fresh pair of eyes, and it's like, I've been staring at this for hours.
Yeah, and that's just how it is. It gets easier, but like sometimes that's just how it is. You guys watch me type, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, I didn't close my quotation marks, and that's why it didn't work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That sort of reminds me of math in high school and middle school. Sometimes it was just a simple mistake that threw everything off.
All right. I know it's a little bit early, but that is a pretty big homework piece, so I don't mind letting you guys get a bit of a head start on it, and we only have 3 more things to do this week. And 2 of them are pretty easy.
What's the story, girl?
Okay, can y'all hear me? Because like I got my fan on, so y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a story. I want to talk about it because Morgan said she's a lifeguard. So this is about when I tried to teach myself how to swim. So I was like, Dad, you gonna teach me how to swim? He was like, I ain't had nobody teach me. They just threw me in the deep end and I started swimming. I was like, okay, bet. So I went to my friend's house and their neighbor has a pool. I was just gonna throw myself in the deep end. I was gonna slowly get over there. So I had a noodle. And me and this other kid was on the other side of the pool. She could swim. I couldn't. And then I lost my noodle. And I was like, oh, God, I can't swim. I can't swim. And I was like grabbing on her. And she was like, help. I was like, shit, I can't grab on her. She's a kid. So I just started back drowning again. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I didn't figure it out. I was calling for help. And they wasn't paying attention to me. But they saved me. Like, as soon as I gave up, they saved me. I was like, y'all suck.
Well, I was with my kids one time because we went to a wave pool, and we were like,
pools are the worst.
Yeah, we were in the shallow end, and then there was like a drop, and I dropped both of my kids in my arms. They were like 2 and 3. And I was trying to thread water, and there's like a million people around me, and nobody helped.
That is.
That was not funny, man. Them kids were like.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
No one helped. When was this? Reminds me of people watching things happen and just pulling out their phone and watching and not
I guess
helping.
they thought we were just playing. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing with wave pools is like, that's why I always hate them. Yeah. Wave pools are basically that. Yeah, like wave pools are always my very, no. Because like the thing with wave pools is like it's so hard to tell if somebody's playing or if they're actually in trouble. Not a fan. Wave pools are not my thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I never got in one.
Yeah, they're super dangerous. If you are not a really good swimmer, like those are almost always lifeguards' weak points or wave pools because it's so hard to see if someone's actually in trouble or not. Oh, yeah. Okay, so one more of like, I'm going to actually stop recording because I don't have any more content for y'all. And if you want to bounce, y'all can. But let me tell you